Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan was on a mission to revive the tourism sector in her country and strengthen bilateral ties with the U.S. on Friday. Before the bilateral meeting, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris outlined the areas of discussion.
The focus of this trip includes, in the United States, focusing on the investment opportunities as it relates to the economy as a general matter, but also in the area of tourism. And your trip has also generated nearly $1 billion in new investments from companies in the United States, and that has and will contribute, no doubt, to the economic growth of Tanzania, but in that way will contribute to the growth, the economic growth and jobs in the United States as well.
Talking on trade and investment, I must say that I'm excited about the prospects of promoting further trade and investment ties for mutual benefits. And in cognizant of that, we need to creating an ease of doing business. And my government, in close collaboration with the private sector, has put in place better conditions and favorable environment for the private sector to thrive. So my only request here is for the U.S. government to encourage more the private sector from the U.S. to work with us.
The officials' meeting also concluded with promises of investment in Tanzania's energy sector. Suluhu launched during her U.S. tour a program to showcase Tanzania's touristic potentials since the pandemic affected the industry.
Zimbabwe's Zimbabwe mine operates as any mining firm is expected, with a little twist. Everyone working here is a woman. Located near Karoi, a town 200 kilometers northwest of the capital Harare, Zimbabwe is empowering women in the region.
When I came here, I did not know how to use a chisel or a hammer, but now I have been fully trained. I take care of my mother-in-law, my husband and my 5 children. My family suffered greatly before I joined the mine. My children were regularly suspended from school due to the lack of fees. This is no longer the case.
In Zimbabwe, only 15% of women work as artisanal and small-scale miners. Zimbabwe's all-female workforce dig for the mine's rich deposits of aquamarine, a light blue-hued gemstone. This in return for a stable $300 monthly salary.
The ladies now don't have to wait and hope that the husband brings something. And for the single mothers, there is no better security than a reliable source of income. They can now take care of the children, they can send them to school, they can feed them, and they are now stable financially.
In addition to sourcing the gemstones, the all-female miners are being trained in cutting and polishing, duties typically left to the men to execute. This was the vision of the Zimbabwe founders, bridging the gaps and imbalances within the mining sector.
It was a no-brainer starting a project that only had women. People actually thought no women would actually come and take up the opportunity. One of the things that we do is come up with business models that work. The women have managed to catch up and do even better than what we expected. And I think they'll put men to shame.
With over 60 women contracted to work, Zimbabwe's Zimbabwe mine is the first of its kind in Africa. Nyashake Mutizwa reporting for Africa News, Karoi, Zimbabwe.
Mamadou Mustafa Fall is the host of the program Miracles of Umma, broadcasted weekly on the radio station Africa 7 in Senegal, and brings together young people from all over the country. Sometimes 2 or 3 guests participate in the program, which is broadcasted live on Africa 7 television every Friday. Our goal is to make everyone love the Quran, but especially those who have no background in it or even those who don't listen to it. For this reason, we attach great importance to elocution and choose Muslims who have learned the Quran by heart with beautiful voices. Sometimes I can't help but cry. Those who watch the program on television can see that I have intense emotion. God's word goes straight to their heart. However, although they are an inspiration to the younger generation, when young women who have learned the Quran by heart also participate in the program, it has not been without controversy over their participation in Islam. Women should go out and show the model of Islam. The first person to embrace Islam was a woman. The first person to die for Islam was a woman. There are many surahs of women in the Quran, so why leave women at home? They are educators. We should let them teach and let them prove that the model of Islam is not an archaic model. With the presence of social media, Fall says they have received very positive feedbacks over 750,000 video viewers on TikTok, an application that is widely used by the younger generation. When I opened the TikTok account, I didn't think it would be so popular, but I have over 77,000 subscribers in just 4 to 5 months.
C'est seulement 4 mois, 5 mois, 6 mois comme ça.
The program that was born about 2 years ago is now one of the most listened to productions in Senegal.
More than 300 people have been killed as a result of flooding in South Africa this week. Heavy rains in the country's eastern KwaZulu-Natal province, including the city of Durban, have caused widespread destruction, and more rainstorms are forecast in the coming days. Well, for more on this, let's talk now to Lorianne Vofokana from our sister service, Africa News. Lorianne, tell us more. We've seen some of the horrible pictures coming. Tell us more about the effects these rainstorms have been having in the country.
Yes, you viewers may certainly have seen these images of impassable roads, images of shipping containers that are in jumbled piles. So more than 40,000 people have been impacted by the floods, mudslides, as well as landslips, and many of them have lost their homes, their shelters. They are now housed in overcrowded shelters. They've found refuge in city halls, for example, and it's one of the many things that the government is doing to try to help the people affected there. They have also received food parcels as well as essential packages. So the situation is quite dire, and communities, especially impoverished communities, it's not just affecting Durban, but the surrounding cities around them are very, very poorly affected.
If things have been so bad for the South African government, of course, like so many African governments, it's severely impacted by the COVID pandemic as well. President Cyril Ramaphosa has been blaming climate change and saying this is clear evidence of that. Tell us more about the government's response.
Indeed, the president said that the catastrophe was an evidence of the impact of climate change, and we can see that in the Southern African region. I think about countries such as Madagascar or Mozambique, who at the beginning of the year had been affected by similar disasters. For the moment, the government has declared a state of emergency, so it be forced to the executive provincial to take all necessary steps to mitigate the situation and to manage to bring a good and satisfactory response to the disaster. So the military has been deployed. They are helping people on the ground. They are continuing rescue operations. We have already seen in President Cyril Ramaphosa's answers to South Africans in his Easter address. He's urging them to think about people that have been affected and to calling for help, essentially. So there are many organizations and NGOs that are helping the government as well as locals who are doing their best for the situation to be less harder for the affected communities.
Okay, Lorianne Vofokana from our Africa News Service. Thanks for keeping us updated with that story.